What if I told you that there is an animal alive on Earth at this very moment? Not a fictional creation in a sci-fi movie, or a genetic experiment in a lab with 9 brains. This animal is the octopus. What's worse, the more researchers examine this alien-like creature, the clearer it becomes that this being isn't similar to any terrestrial animal, and looks like it belongs on a completely different planet. In terms of its brain structure, the octopus has a main brain situated in the head between the eyes. However, each of its 8 arms possesses a separate neural cluster, a brain. Thus, the total number of neural centers in an octopus reaches 9, containing about 500 million neurons, roughly as much as the dog's brain. However, there's a peculiarity about these 8 smaller brains. Each arm doesn't simply execute commands sent by the primary brain. They can work independently, and they do. If an octopus arm touches something harmful while its main brain is busy with something else, the limb pulls back without sending the relevant signal up. The presence of 9 brains that operate relatively independently in one organism is a phenomenon unique to the animal kingdom. The study of octopus cognition might force us to redefine our concepts of consciousness entirely, since it forces us to ask whether intelligence is possible without being centered on a specific point. As we noted above, an octopus will bleed bright blue if someone cuts it, and no, it's literal bleeding, not some kind of metaphorical expression. But the question arises, who pumps its blood throughout its veins? That job goes to the 3 hearts of this creature. 2 hearts are called the branchial hearts. They have only one purpose, to circulate the blood through the octopus gills. Here, oxygen is extracted from the water that surrounds the cephalopod. Then, the 3rd heart, the so-called systemic heart, takes the oxygen-filled blood and sends it to the organs. Thus, the octopus heart system is exceptionally efficient. It makes it possible to function normally in the low oxygen waters at low temperatures that most cephalopods occupy. The blood color in the cephalopod results from the presence of the hemocyanin molecule, which carries oxygen in the blood and replaces the human equivalent of it, namely hemoglobin. Hemocyanin differs from hemoglobin in that it contains copper ions and doesn't require high temperatures to function well. Unlike our blood, which appears reddish due to hemoglobin and the iron that comprises it, octopus's blood becomes blue in the process of circulation. Also, the octopus has one unique feature in terms of the cardiovascular system. Namely, when swimming via jet propulsion, the systemic heart in the cephalopod stops beating, which is why it prefers walking rather than swimming. It seems that evolution provided the octopus with both intelligence and the ability to change colors to camouflage itself, but it forgot about its heart rate and endurance in general. Here is one strange phenomenon that has puzzled scientists for decades. Namely, the octopus is an unmatched artist. When it comes to imitating the color of its environment, it can recreate the texture of sand, rock, and coral precisely in the course of seconds. However, it has become apparent over the years of study that all tests conducted on the cephalopod have proved its inability to distinguish colors. The eyes of an octopus possess a single photoreceptor, while the human eye, as a comparison, has 3, the receptors for red, green, and blue light. This means that an octopus is effectively blind to colors, and yet, somehow, it can create perfect imitations of them, changing its color instantly and matching it to any surface that the creature approaches. The leading hypothesis regarding this phenomenon concerns the concept known as chromatic aberration. It lies in the fact that the W-shaped pupil of the octopus makes it possible for different wavelengths of light to pass into various depths of the octopus's eye. By shifting the focus, the creature could discern colors based on the blurring effect created by the phenomenon. Another hypothesis, although it's much more radical, suggests that octopuses have the same receptors in their skin, in chromatophores in particular. If such a thing is true, then octopuses probably perceive color not with their eyes, but through the whole body. Imagine being able to squeeze through any hole, even those barely larger than your coin? No need to break anything. to feel pain just slip through, as effortlessly as breathing. Octopuses can do that all the time. They lack any bone structure whatsoever, save the sharp chitin beak in the middle of their body. Their beak resembles an insect beak and is located where their arms meet. All their limbs, muscles, and even internal organs consist only of muscle tissue. Thus, the simple principle governs the octopus. If it can fit its beak into a place, it will pass through it, no matter how small or difficult that place might be. This peculiar skill has made the cephalopods excellent escapologists in the world's numerous aquariums. Some aquarists have recorded cases of nocturnal escapes in which octopuses slipped out of their tanks, crawled across floors to neighboring aquariums to eat their fish, and then returned peacefully into the place where they belonged, leaving baffled humans behind. Even the security camera captured an octopus doing precisely that at a New Zealand aquarium. However, the practicality of being soft and flexible lies in the fact that in the wild, this quality makes octopuses extremely difficult prey. Octopuses can squeeze into virtually any place, hiding from predators or hunting. Their boneless structure enables an incredible variety of maneuvers, and every inch of their body is equally flexible. When escaping from a predator, the octopus resorts to one of the animal kingdom's most elaborate defense systems, ink. However, to refer to it as ink greatly diminishes its capabilities. This is not simply a smokescreen. No, this is a multi-target attack against a pursuing predator. The first goal is visual. The dark blob that the octopus releases in the water is highly opaque and spreads quickly, obscuring everything in front of it. However, the creature immediately moves in another direction, thus ensuring that when the clouds of ink disperse, the predator won't see the octopus. The second goal concerns chemical sensations. Namely, the ink of the cephalopod contains a substance called tyrosinase, which irritates the receptors responsible for taste and smell. Such a substance is very irritating for fish that hunt using smell and taste. A curious detail: if an octopus releases ink in the enclosed space, like the aquarium tank, it can asphyxiate itself on it. Indeed, this is a defense mechanism meant to function in the water, not a tank, hence the necessity of quick dispersion in order for the creature not to suffocate. Tool usage was considered until recent years as something exclusive to primates, such as humans, gorillas, and chimpanzees. Then it was discovered that dolphins use sponges to protect their noses during hunting. Finally, in 2009, an observation off the coast of Indonesia completely rocked the scientific community. Namely, marine biologists witnessed the process by which octopuses picked up half shells of coconuts from the bottom of the ocean and carried them across the sea floor. Later, the creatures assembled the half shells into a ball and hid inside it. The act of transporting objects across distance without immediate purpose proves that octopuses have an understanding of future events. Indeed, they transport the half shells, intending to assemble them later at a separate place to hide inside. This demonstrates the ability of octopuses to create a mental model of future events. Also, it must be added that octopuses were observed using rocks to shut themselves into a room. They arranged their environment in such a way to serve them as camouflage. They even solved multi-stage puzzles presented to them by laboratory scientists. And yes, in one case, the octopus threw stones at the aquarium glass to draw the attendants' attention. Perhaps the most tragic fact concerning octopuses is their extremely short lifespan. The average octopus lives no more than 1 year and rarely survives 2. Why is this the case? Because the reproductive phase of octopuses ends their life quite drastically. When males find females, they pass a spermatophore to them through the specialized limb, hectocotylus. Sometimes, males cut it off and hand it to females. In other cases, they keep it but stop communicating with it afterward. Soon after, the males begin degenerating and dying within weeks from starvation and poor coordination. Females fare even worse in this situation. Octopus females lay up to 400,000 eggs. Then they attach themselves to the walls of their dens and stay there without moving. Their purpose during that time is only one: to ventilate their eggs with water sprays and protect them from predators. When they finally hatch, their mothers are already dead of exhaustion and hunger. Evolutionists term this kind of reproduction semelparous. Animals reproduce once in their lifetimes and then die shortly thereafter. Hence, as you can deduce, no octopus ever knew its mother. In 2019, a scientist at a Brazilian institute named Silvia Medeiros recorded one of her sleeping octopuses, Costella, changing colors rapidly. It happened right when the creature entered REM phase, that is a deep sleep during which it becomes active and responsive. Whether octopuses dream of anything, similar to humans can only be speculated. However, behavioral signs are obvious. It is assumed that color changes in octopuses when they fall asleep reflect certain patterns of behavior the octopus exhibited during the day, camouflaging sequences, hunting actions, or escapes. Therefore, if this assumption is true, the octopus seems to relive its recent experiences. It is especially remarkable in terms of philosophical contemplations because the phenomenon shows a high degree of octopus's consciousness. Episodic memories that allow recalling past events and experiencing them again can only be developed in a rather highly organized organism with a complex mental activity. Hence, the possibility of having dreams indicates the presence of much richer mental life among octopuses compared to that of many animals. Even more important from a philosophical point of view is the fact that octopuses belong to another branch of the evolutionary tree than vertebrates, meaning that they achieved consciousness in a completely different way through their separate path. One thing that proves this conclusion is personality, a unique feature of octopuses that once belonged to a human category. There are now scientific papers based on peer-reviewed observations that confirm octopuses having consistent personality traits. In the studies conducted by Jennifer Mather and Roland Anderson, who observed octopuses at the Seattle Aquarium, the scientists noticed that octopuses behave differently when exposed to standard stimuli, the approach of a human, the presence of some unfamiliar object near them, or the situation that could be frightening for the animals. Moreover, each time, the same individuals showed different behavior. There were aggressive, bold, retreating, curious, or playful octopuses. For example, one particular octopus named Leisure Suit, Larry liked squirting water at people it disliked. One more octopus always turned its back to scientists during the interaction process. Moreover, lab technicians working at the aquarium state that they can distinguish octopuses simply due to different personalities of those animals. Some other observations prove that octopuses have preferences, or maybe even feelings. The animals living in tanks with enrichment, containing many objects to play with, and some contact with other animals, show much more active behaviors. On the contrary, when kept in empty tanks, they become lazy and repetitive. Thus, there is a reason to assume that octopuses experience their environment subjectively and develop different approaches to dealing with the challenges they encounter, which is associated with their consciousness, mind, and possibly emotions. When considering octopus intelligence, it becomes evident that this kind of cognition cannot be put on the traditional hierarchical scale of intelligent beings, because it is entirely independent from the one of human and mammal intelligence. Octopus's evolutionary tree has not diverged from ours until 500 million years ago, and after that, they had enough time to evolve 9 brains and demonstrate amazing abilities like using tools, planning, solving problems, and recognizing other organisms' faces. Therefore, their intelligence emerged completely independently and through a different evolution pathway. Moreover, it means that the difference between humans and octopuses is evolutionary maximum since the common ancestor possessed virtually no nervous system, unlike fish. This finding indicates that intelligence, as a useful feature, appears in nature independently under similar conditions and is not a one-of-a-kind product of evolution.